Blayne Smith here, and welcome back to me saying welcome back to Overkill Reviews. Because, welcome back, we're back. Our Patreon campaign has been successful. Our first video a week, funded. Thanks to you guys. Super awesome. We really appreciate it. The only other thing is, we got a second goal. The second goal is 5,000, and what does that mean? When we hit 5,000, the next video is always dedicated to indie and underground releases. So, for our sake, because you know we're a bunch of true cult assholes, help us hit that goal so we can crank out the content we really love. But today is absolutely not about an indie band. This is the band you guys chose for us to review this week on the Patreon poll. This is one of the biggest bands in metal right now. Let's check out what they're doing. Yes, that's right. We're reviewing metal's unstoppable force, Ghost. They put out their fourth album, Prequelle, today on Loma Vista Records. This is one of the more controversial bands in metal, and not because they're singing about putting knives where they shouldn't be or something. In case you somehow missed this, Ghost is a Swedish, I'm gonna say, hard rock band? Originally created in 2006, it wasn't until 2010 that they put out their first record, which made a big splash. Known as much for their theatrics as they are for their music, Ghost performs entirely as nameless ghouls, except for the lead singer, who is in a variety of different evil religious figure costumes. This was all also under the cloak of anonymity until last year, when all but one of the nameless ghouls filed a lawsuit against the main creative force of the band, being revealed as Tobias Forge, who you've probably never heard of, so whatever. Regardless of legal troubles, Tobias has been enjoying great success, even winning a Grammy in 2016 for Best Blue Oyster Cult Cover Metal Performance. But you probably already know all this, so let's just dive into the review. So in my sleep review, I said 2018 was the year I put intro tracks on goddamn notice. And this one's no stranger. It's probably one of the biggest cliches in horror movies, which is children creepily singing Ring Around the Rosie. And while I understand that this whole album is about the Black Plague, it doesn't change the fact that I've heard this a lot. The only way this could have been more hack is if the album ended with an old lady appearing and going, "That Ghost album's been dead for 30 years. Luckily, the first real song on the album is a banger. It's Rats, it's the single, and it shows what's gotten Ghost this far. This is their bread and butter. A solid, catchy riff, high energy drumming, keys ranging from gospel to spooky, and there's a great contrast in the song where the chorus build-up has this airy feel to it, and then the Rats is a lot more aggressive and causes a nice impact on it. This song is also a perfect live track, which is ultimately what this band is pretty much about. The next song, Faith, is probably the heaviest song on the album, and while more forgettable than Rats, is still nice and intense, which is good because you're gonna need to store some of that intensity because we're about to do a hard lane shift, gang. Hey, it's ballad time. Everybody loves a good ballad, right? We've got See the Light. It's a ballad, because what do you do when you want money? Toss a ballad on your album. Whew. Now this track really rubs me the wrong way. In addition to it being a ballad, which suck, it's a very thinly veiled attack on the band members suing him over disputed wages. Like, very thinly veiled. And considering they're not suing him for royalties or control of the band, they're just saying, hey, I don't think we were fairly compensated when we were playing, it comes off kind of weird and petty. Ultimately, Ghost is a band about theatrics and immersion, and regardless of whether you think Tobias is right or not, it still makes you think of what's going on in the real world as opposed to what they're performing. And for me, it really broke me out of the album. Luckily, the next song, Miasma, it sounds like Ghost covering Dr. Wily's theme from Mega Man 2. And has a 45-second sax solo. So, hey, I'm back on board. Then we get to the second single, and I'm back off board. If you've heard it, it's called Dance Macabre, and it sounds a lot like a Kiss song, which I guess makes sense because they're two bands that put on costumes to sell dildos, after all. It's hard to define, but there's a certain line where it crosses over a little too much into pop. The chorus is, just wanna be with you in the moonlight, just wanna be, I wanna be with you all night. There's just none of that cool, sinister vibe that Ghost has managed to cultivate. There's none of it in the guitars, there's none of it in the keys. It really is just a song to dance to, and that's cool if that's what you want, but it's weird for a band dressed as demonic religious figures to be putting out just straight pop music. And that overly simplified chorus structure isn't reduced to just this song. It continues on in the next song, Pro Memoria, which honestly sounds like it could have been cut from the Broadway production of Les Mis. I know it's gonna seem like I'm hamming this up, but this is how it sounds like on the album. Don't you forget about dying. Don't you forget about your friend death. Don't you forget that you will die. You know, Ghost, I didn't forget I was gonna die, and at this point in the review, I'm kinda looking forward to it. And from here, the album just kinda peters out. Witch Image is a passable if unremarkable track, and then you get, Helveton Foster. It's a 6-minute outro instrumental track that kind of summarizes the album, but also kind of doesn't really achieve anything. And it would be a fine outro track to kind of figure out what you're putting on next during, but there's another song afterwards that has vocals and is 3 minutes, and structurally it just really threw me for a loop. So hey, score time! Clearly, this album made me feel some bad things, but again, they're clearly not trying to make an album for me anymore. There's been a strong shift to the mainstream. Tobias wants to be on the top 40, and at some point, if we can get some more guitars in there, I'm not against that. But at the same time, if you want to have 1 million fans, you have to have a record that appeals to 1 million people, and that's got to be a record that has a little bit of something for everybody, but not a lot for people that know what they like. If you have a boyfriend or dad or shitty kid that doesn't like metal yet, and you're really trying to get them into this, this is a great record to give them. But if you find you like a part of this record, you can probably get it elsewhere. If you just want some awesome hard rock to kind of take a break from all the screaming, High Spirits has been putting out great records for years. If you just want a nice gothic atmosphere, Tribulation put out a killer record this year. And if you're here for the sax, Rivers of Nile has more than 45 seconds on it on their potential Album of the Year contender. But if you're a newcomer to the scene, I don't think this is a bad record to be listening to. And at some point, if you're in this for the theatrics, this is an album that is going to be able to be played very grandiosely live in what they're now playing as arenas. And it's kind of arena rock. So I hate it, but I understand what they're doing, so I can't fail it, but I also can't give it a good score. So that's why I'm giving it 3 out of 5 skulls that are also Ghost-branded butt plugs. And hey, it's all our favorite part of the video. It's shoutouts time. We got 3 really awesome ones this week. Cataclysm put out Meditations, which, Cataclysm, great Canadian metal band, and if you were a little disappointed by that last record, I feel like this record really redeemed them. It's awesome. We've got Nervosa out of Brazil with Downfall of Mankind. Super unique. Not only are they Brazilian, great metal fans down there, it's an all-female band that doesn't rely on that as a gimmick or anything. They just put out solid thrash music and are certainly worth your time. And my personal pick for the week is Unflesh Savior. It's been the year of tech death, and this is no different. They're unsigned, independent. This is their first full length, and it rocks. It's got a bit of a different vibe. It's got a cold, icy feel to it that really goes well with the cover. And apparently it's all written by one dude in the band. Tech Death written by one dude, that's super impressive. And definitely, you should give it a shot. Just to wrap things up, We've been hitting you up about this Patreon campaign a lot, and I'm not going to do that right now. I just want to say thank you to everyone that contributed to it. You brought us back. You're great fans. We love you. Your interactions are awesome. Your support is awesome. It means a lot. And if you don't have the money to subscribe, you don't have to subscribe on Patreon. You can just hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and it helps too. You guys are awesome. We love reviewing metal. We just want to talk about all different kinds of metal, and you're keeping us doing that. So thanks so much. If you're new here, it's a great team. You should get on board.